Hello, Blake Rudis here with F64 Academy and F64 Elite. Today I want to show you how to use the solid color adjustment layer to create a really brilliant color grade on your image to make the viewer feel something and change their mood based on the color choice that you use to overlay your image. It's a really powerful technique to control the viewer. So here's the before and here's the after. Before, after. You can almost barely tell, but if we look at the opacity slider here, we definitely have applied a blue color cast to this image to make a much cooler effect. So there are many ways that you can color grade your images. In the past, I've showed you how to color grade your images using a gradient overlay. And with that gradient map overlay, it allows you to apply a certain color to your midtones, your whites, and your blacks. Well, today I want to show you how you can use a solid color overlay to really add a nice mood and feeling to your photograph. It's a very powerful and effective technique for controlling the mood of the viewer as they're looking at your image without them even knowing it. All happens in the subconscious, okay? So what we're going to do is come down here to the adjustments, go to solid color, and we're just going to fill this with, let's just fill it with this solid color, orange color over here. Now by default, it's going to select whatever color you have in your color palette. So if I had black over here in my color palette, it would select that black color. Because I have this kind of brownish color that from the last thing I used in my color palette, that's what it's defaulting to. So you can just change it to whatever color you want, and I'm going to press OK. Now, by itself, the solid color layer does not do a very good job of applying itself to your image. And that's where we need to resort to three more things. Number one, that's going to be your blend mode. Your blend modes are right here. You can change that to something like soft light or overlay. Those are two that are very good tools to use, your blend mode tools to use to apply this color onto your image. That's overlay, that's soft light, and then the other one is color. And if we look at color, it's basically making a monochromatic view of our image, basically saying that I want our whole image to be this orange color. If we were to change this orange color here, we just double click that to black, look what happens. We basically have a black and white image. Because what the color blend mode does is it allows whatever colors that are in your top layer to apply themselves to the bottom layer while allowing the bottom layer's tones to still shine through. Hence the monochromatic image that we have here in black and white. So let's go back over to this orange color and press OK. So with the opacity, I would tell you to drop this to about, I don't know, 10 or 15%. So let's go to about 15% and see what that's got for us there. Okay, so at 15% with the color blend mode, you can barely tell that orange is there. Okay, it's there, but you can barely tell. If we change this over to soft light, you can see how more of our whites and blacks start to come through, and it's almost like that orange is resting itself on just the midtones, which that could be a great way to control the viewer's mood as they look at the image. If we double click here, we can change this to any color we want on the spectrum. And that orange, our eyes got so used to seeing that orange applied to the image that it felt like a natural color to be applied there. But let's change it to blue. Now look at the mood and the feeling that we're bringing out in that individual. We're making them get a little colder. It's a little darker. It's a little more somber. Okay, but this is a little bit more bright, uplifting, airy. Okay, so your color choice is going to make a big difference. So where this comes in is I would typically use this at the end of my workflow, not in the really beginning of my workflow, but this is a finishing touch. Okay, it's the seamless color that you put over the entire image. So the third way we can control that is by going into blend if. So the first way was blend modes, the second way was opacity, the third way is going to be blend if. If I double click right here, you can see we have our blend if slider here. I've done many tutorials on blend if, but basically what the idea is that when we come into blend if and you look down here in this area, it's basically saying the underlying layer's tones will be protected if we move these sliders. So the underlying layer's blacks will be protected from this orange color or yellow color if I move this over, or the underlying layers whites will be protected if I move this over. So let's go ahead and do this. Let's make this really bright. We'll make it 100%. And then we'll double click on this because it makes it a little bit easier to see sometimes. So if we move this over, we're basically saying don't affect the blacks of this image. And we can press Alt or Option and split and feather that, okay? And then we can come over here and move this over to the whites and Alt and Option and split and feather that. And so we're basically saying that this is only going to affect our midtones now. And with the opacity right up here, we could even change this over now to 15% and press OK. to get us back to where we were, knowing now that our yellow is just applying itself to the midtones. There are many ways that you can apply color grades to your images, but the color overlay one is a really powerful one. So much so that if you go into the Zone System Express, which is the panel that I've created, and you go over to Effects, you're going to see this one that says Solid Color Grade here. And what I like about this is that it automatically sets us up with that orange color because that's a really good landscape color. But if we were to change this to whatever color we want, we just have to double click in there and we can change this to, let's say, more of a yellowish color and maybe like a yellow green. Let's go with blue. Let's go with blue. Change it to a blue color. And what I also like about the panel here is that you can switch between soft light and color pretty much on the fly and change your percentages from 100% to 10% so that you can kind of see how the image is going to look when you overlay these things really quickly by pressing buttons rather than having to manipulate down here in the layers palette. So just for a quick recap and review, we use these color grades to give the overall mood and feel to our image, to make the viewer feel something based on the colors that we use. And if you look at this, that was a really simple way to add a somber type of mood to this with a blue color cast. We also brightened it up with the orange color cast. And we controlled that with 3 elements. Our blend mode, whether that's going to be overlay, soft light, or color. You can experiment with all the blend modes if you see fit, but those are the ones that I think work best when it comes to color grading. And then we talked about the opacity, dropping the opacity on that color so that it doesn't apply itself 100%. It's more between 10 and 15% just for a smooth overlay. The idea here is that your color grades should be very similar to your vignettes. If you can tell that you used a vignette, if the viewer can tell that you used a vignette, you went too far. If the viewer can tell that you applied too much color to it, I think you kind of went too far. And then the third way to manipulate and adjust that is to use the blend if adjustments so that maybe you protect the blacks or you protect the whites or you just apply it to the midtones so that certain parts of your image are only getting that color effect over others. So again, my name is Blake Rudis with F64 Academy and F64 Elite. I certainly hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please comment, share it, tell a friend, and subscribe. And if you like the Zone System Express, you can go ahead and check it out at this link below. And as always, I sincerely appreciate you taking the time to elevate your skills in your trade.